Welcome to Tomorrow Unveiled. If the last few weeks felt like maybe just small steps forward in AI, a chatbot getting slightly better, maybe a new little feature popping up, well, I think we need to hit the reset button this morning.
Definitely.
Our dedicated research team, the folks who pulled all this information together, they're pretty much unanimous. This past week, really dominated by one company's big event, it wasn't just another step, it felt foundational.
The real shift, yeah.
It felt like the moment AI stopped being just this incredibly clever tool
Yeah.
and started morphing into something much bigger. Maybe the operating system for
Yeah.
our digital lives. We're definitely moving past the model wars.
Yeah.
The whole race for
Hmm.
who is the biggest, fastest language model.
Mm.
That feels like yesterday's news. Now it looks like we're fully into the platform wars.
And that pivot, that shift, it's huge. So our mission today really is to unpack why we need to break down these four big strategic pillars that kind of define this new era.
And they're all interconnected, right? It's a whole roadmap.
Okay, so what are they? First, there's the plan to take ChatGPT, which everyone knows, and really turn it into a proper AI operating system. Second, how they're trying to industrialize AI agents, basically moving them from cool experiments to reliable automated workers using professional tools.
Right, agents doing actual work.
Exactly. Third, we saw the next generation of the models themselves, GPT-5 Pro, Sora 2, with some big jumps in reasoning and how realistic they are. And finally, none of this works without massive, massive computing power. So securing that hardware is the fourth pillar.
Got it.
And look, this isn't just about shiny new tech announcements. It's really about digging into what this big coordinated push means for, well, for you listening, whether you're a developer working in a large company or just someone trying to figure out where all this is heading.
Yeah, that framing is so important. We have to stop thinking of AI as just, a static box you type something into and get a single answer back.
Right.
It's becoming this dynamic thing, almost an autonomous orchestrator, managing your digital world behind the scenes. It's the AI running things, delegating, coordinating services. Honestly, it feels like the biggest grab for control in computing since, the iPhone App Store landed 15 years ago?
That's a really good comparison, actually.
Okay, so let's dive in right there. Let's unpack this platform shift first.
Yeah, that App Store analogy works surprisingly well because the absolute core of this strategy is taking ChatGPT, which, let's face it, started as a kind of novelty chatbot.
A very popular novelty.
A massively popular novelty, and using that huge user base to turn it into this foundational computing platform. It's what the analysts are starting to call an AI operating system.
And the single biggest takeaway that our research team kept highlighting is exactly that. ChatGPT isn't just a website you visit anymore. It's becoming the environment where things get done, where tasks actually happen.
And the key piece making that possible is this new apps SDK. That's the software development kit.
Right.
It lets developers build their own interactive apps and actually embed them directly inside a ChatGPT conversation. No more switching windows.
That friction just disappears, doesn't it? I mean, think how many times a day you jump between tabs, ask the AI something, get part of an answer, then you have to leave, go search something else, maybe check a map, open up Canva.
Exactly. That all goes away, or at least that's the promise. The whole workflow can stay conversational.
And the partners they launched with really show the scale of their ambition here. They didn't start small. They went straight for major consumer brands people use every day.
Yeah, like Spotify for managing your music, not just suggesting songs, but actually changing playlists right there in the chat.
And Canva for making designs. Zillow for looking at houses. You can see maps and listings without ever leaving the conversation. Booking.com for planning trips, handling all the different steps.
The AI stops being just an information source and becomes the coordinator, the dispatcher.
And this really brings us to that fundamental shift in how we interact with computers, doesn't it? Moving away from the GUI, the graphical user interface,
The world of icons and mice and clicking we've lived in for decades.
towards the LUI, the language user interface, where just talking or typing a command is how you get things done. You don't open the Zillow app anymore, click search, type in filters.
No, you just tell ChatGPT, hey Zillow, find me a 3-bed house, big yard, good school, this area. Show me the top 3 right here. And then the Zillow app runs in the background. Right.
It acts like a service.
It becomes a back-end service, and it renders its little interactive bits, the map, the pictures right inside the chat. The app is now a capability the AI uses, not a place you have to go to.
Now, what's really fascinating technically is how they built this. You mentioned the Model Context Protocol, MCP. The research team flagged this as strategically really interesting because it's an open standard. And it was actually started by a competitor, Anthropic.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
So why on earth would the biggest player build their shiny new platform on a standard created by a rival? That feels like giving away an edge.
It does seem counterintuitive at first glance, but the analysis from the research team points to this being an incredibly smart, almost aggressive strategic play by adopting an open standard like MCP.
They're essentially making what?
They're making the universal adapter. Think of it like USB-C, but for AI.
Okay, I like that. The USB-C port for AI.
Exactly. If any developer can easily plug their service into this ecosystem, even if they're using, say, an Anthropic model on their own backend, it dramatically lowers the barrier to entry for everyone.
So they make the connection itself a commodity. It's not special anymore.
Precisely. It becomes trivial to connect. And what does that do? It accelerates the growth of their ecosystem massively. Suddenly, the fight isn't about who has the best locked-in proprietary connection method that just slows things down. The competition instantly shifts to who has the best platform, who has the best tools for developers, and crucially, who already has the massive user base waiting to use these integrated apps.
They trade a little bit of proprietary control for just sheer market speed and dominance.
You've got it. It's a land grab, accelerated.
And the scale of that user base they're offering access to. It's just staggering. The number corroborated across all the research was 800 million weekly active users.
800 million weekly. That's a ready-made market that is almost impossible for any developer or service to ignore.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the next big question: governance.
Absolutely. That kind of scale, that centralization of user traffic and apps, it immediately means the platform owner becomes a very powerful gatekeeper. They get to decide who gets in, the rules for apps, the review process, and down the line, how monetization works.
It sounds exactly like the playbook and the problems of the mobile app stores.
It mirrors it point for point. All the regulatory heat, the antitrust concerns that Apple and Google have faced over controlling access and digital commerce, those same questions are going to land squarely on this new AI OS platform.
Because if everyone starts doing everything through this conversational interface,
then whoever controls that single entry point for 800 million people's weekly digital interactions holds immense power over which businesses get seen and which don't. It's the new digital bottleneck, potentially.
Okay, so that's the platform, the AI OS.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears to the second pillar you mentioned, AgentKit. If the OS is where the apps live, AgentKit sounds like the factory for building the workforce.
That's a great way to put it. AgentKit is really the signal that AI agents, these bits of software that can plan, run multi-step tasks on their own, figure things out, course correct, are moving out of the research labs and into the real world.
Becoming production ready.
Exactly. AgentKit is designed as this complete end-to-end developer toolkit aimed at professionalizing how these agents are built, taking them from fragile, maybe unreliable prototypes.
That break easily.
Right. To dependable, production-grade, automated employees that big companies can actually trust with important workflows.
That word industrializing seems key. The sources really emphasize this isn't just another API. It's a whole lifecycle toolkit meant to bring some serious engineering discipline to what's been, frankly, a pretty chaotic space.
Totally. So let's break down the four main parts of AgentKit that make that possible.
Okay.
First up is the agent builder. This is where you design the agent's workflow. Before, building a complex agent often meant, writing tons of code or crafting these incredibly intricate, nested prompts that were hard to manage.
Brittle, yeah.
Very brittle. The agent builder is visual. It's drag and drop. You can map out complex multi-step processes, link actions together, set conditions, all visually. It makes the whole architecture transparent and easier to manage, version, and debug. It's not hidden away in lines of text.
Okay, that makes sense. What's next?
Then you have ChatKit. Look, for any new tech to get adopted widely, it has to be easy to plug in. ChatKit gives developers these pre-built UI components already designed to fit a company's brand.
So the front-end stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It lets them embed these agents smoothly into their websites or internal tools or apps. It handles all those tricky but necessary details, like showing the responses as they come in, the little thinking dots so you know it's working.
Right, the user experience bit.
Yeah, all that stuff that can take developers weeks to build from scratch. ChatKit aims to make that integration almost instant.
Okay, Builder and ChatKit. What's the third piece?
The third one is maybe the most critical for big companies, the connector registry. This is where security, compliance, and governance all come together.
Because if an agent is autonomous,
If it can make its own decisions, the biggest fear for any enterprise is, what if it accesses data it shouldn't? The connector registry is the central control panel. It's where IT and security teams define exactly which internal systems, specific APIs, databases, cloud buckets the agents are allowed to touch, and under what rules.
So it's like the bouncer for the data center. Without that, a company could face huge problems if an agent messes up or gets tricked.
Precisely. It stops needing to hard code permissions into every single agent. You manage the security policy centrally, and it's auditable, which is huge for compliance.
Makes sense. And the last component.
And finally, there's the Evals framework. Think of this as the quality control department. It's a set of tools for really rigorous testing of the agents, essential when these things are handling important tasks and failure isn't really an option.
And the key innovation here seems to be something called trace grading. How is that different from just seeing if the agent got the right answer?
Trace grading is like getting an X-ray of the agent's thought process. It lets developers see the entire step-by-step reasoning chain from the initial request all the way to the final action.
So you see how it got there.
Exactly. You can pinpoint exactly where it went wrong, maybe misunderstood something, took a weird turn. AI failures can be really opaque, black boxes. Trace grading makes the debugging process much more systematic. It turns agent development from guesswork into more of a real engineering discipline. You're optimizing the process, not just the final output.
And the impact, the so what, of making agent development more industrial like this. It's already showing up, right? The research team found some pretty stunning real-world examples.
Oh yeah, Klarna, the payments company. They use these tools to build an agent that now handles, get this, 2/3, 66% of all their customer support tickets.
2/3. That's huge. That's massive operational savings and efficiency.
It's automating a huge chunk of customer interaction with a reliable system. And it's not just internal stuff. Take Clay, they're a sales intelligence platform. They reported a 10x growth in their efficiency.
10 times.
10 times by using AgentKit built AI agents for complex sales tasks like finding prospects, enriching leads, things that normally take a lot of human time.
So these aren't just toys anymore. They're driving serious business results.
Absolutely. And this really signals the rise of a new kind of role, the agent developer. Their main skill isn't just writing code in the traditional sense. It's designing, tuning, optimizing, and securing these autonomous workflows. They're becoming the architects of automated business processes.
Okay, so we have the platform, the AI OS. We have the factory agent kit. Now let's talk about the engine itself, the third pillar, the next-gen models, GPT-5 Pro and Sora 2. These sound like big leaps in core AI abilities.
They really are. With GPT-5 Pro, it's not just about being incrementally better. The big deal is the underlying architecture. They're calling it a unified system that uses a real-time router.
A router. Okay, explain that.
And think of it like this. Large language models face this constant trade-off. You want them to be fast, low latency, but you also want them to do really deep, complex thinking. Usually you have to pick one. Fast and simple or slow and smart.
Right.
This router acts like a super efficient manager. When a request comes in, it instantly assesses how much thinking power is needed. Simple task, like summarizing a quick email. Route it to a fast, cheaper internal model. Quick response.
Okay.
But if the query is complex, say, analyze this dense legal contract or do a sophisticated financial forecast, the router dynamically sends it to a much more powerful but also more computationally expensive, heavy thinking model.
So you only use the big guns when you actually need them. That solves the speed versus quality problem, and presumably the cost problem, too.
Exactly. You get the best of both worlds. Expert-level AI becomes practical because you're not paying that premium compute cost for every single simple request, only when the deep reasoning is genuinely required.
That makes a lot of sense.
And to handle those really complex tasks, this model comes with a massive context window. The numbers are 400,000 tokens overall. That's about 272K for input, 272K for output.
400,000 tokens. Just put that in perspective. What does that let you do?
Well, roughly, it's enough to feed it, say, 2 full, dense company annual reports, or maybe an entire piece of complex legislation, and then have it generate a detailed analysis or summary based on all of that information in one go, without losing context.
Okay, that unlocks serious enterprise use cases. Legal, compliance research, anywhere you need to synthesize huge amounts of text.
For sure. And that capability is reflected in the price. It's a premium API tier, 15 per $1 million input tokens, 120 per $1 million output tokens, clearly targeting those high-value, deep context business workflows. The router makes sure you only pay that when you need that level of power.
Okay, so that's the language side with GPT-5 Pro. Now shifting to the visual side, Sora 2. The first Sora made waves with video generation, but the research team really emphasized that Sora 2 is a true multimodal leap, and the key is the sound.
Native synchronized sound, that's the game changer. Before, you'd get these silent AI videos, right? And adding sound later was clumsy, often out of sync.
Yeah, it always felt a bit off.
Sora 2 generates the video and the audio together, simultaneously. Dialogue, sound effects, background noise, all created at the same time and perfectly matched to what you're seeing. If a car speeds by, you hear it perfectly timed. If someone talks, the lip sync is generated with the sound. It massively boosts the realism.
And it's not just sound. The realism extends to how things move, too, understanding physics.
That's the other big leap. Significantly improved physics realism. They've clearly put a lot of effort into teaching it how the real world works. The research highlighted examples. If someone throws a ball, older models might just make it land where it's supposed to, even if it logically should have hit something first.
Like it's cheating physics.
Kind of, yeah. Sora 2, apparently, can model more plausible outcomes. The ball might bounce realistically off a rim. Water splashes with proper weight and inertia. It suggests a much deeper internal understanding, a world model, making the videos much harder to tell from actual footage.
Which is both amazing and slightly terrifying.
We'll get to the terrifying part, definitely.
Okay.
But first, there's also this Cameo feature for creators.
Right. What does Cameo do?
It lets users, once they're verified, insert their own face and voice into new AI-generated scenes. You give it a short video of yourself, it learns your likeness and voice print, and then it can place you into completely new scenarios, acting like a personalized digital avatar.
Okay, I can immediately see the potential for personalized ads, marketing content, maybe even virtual presence.
Huge potential there. Now, speaking of potential, if you're finding this potential discussion insightful on YouTube,
please do take a second to like this video, subscribe to Tomorrow Unveiled, maybe hit that new hype button. It really helps us get seen. And definitely turn on notifications so you don't miss our next exploration of the future.
And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio, a quick rating and review for Tomorrow Unveiled would be amazing. It genuinely helps new listeners discover the show.
Okay, so we've got these incredibly powerful new models, GPT-5 Pro, Sora 2, and this expanding platform they run on.
Right.
This stuff needs an unbelievable amount of hardware, right? Which brings us to your fourth pillar, the infrastructure arms race.
Colossal is the word. You just can't run a platform with 800 million active users churning through these sophisticated models without securing absolutely enormous amounts of computing power. And this is where we saw one of the biggest strategic power plays of the week, the hardware diversification strategy.
And the headline there was the massive deal with AMD, multi-year, multi-billion dollars for their next-gen AI chips, starting with the MI450s. This looks like a serious shot across the bow at NVIDIA's dominant.
It's a direct challenge, but the really clever part, the detail our research team flagged as unique, wasn't just buying the chips. It was how they structured the deal.
What was special about it?
The warrants. The deal includes warrants that give the platform company the right to buy up to 160 million shares of AMD stock, potentially around 10% of the company if they hit certain deployment milestones with AMD's chips.
Wow. So it's not just a customer-supplier relationship. They become financially tied to AMD's success.
Exactly. It's way more than just placing a big order. It locks in a long-term supply, diversifies away from relying solely on NVIDIA, and gives them a huge financial upside if AMD does well because of this partnership. It aligns everyone's interests.
Yeah.
Genius, really.
It's a masterclass in supply chain strategy for the AI era. And when you hear the scale they're already operating at the API, processing 6 billion tokens every minute.
6 billion a minute.
You see why locking down that compute pipeline and diversifying it becomes absolutely essential. They simply can't afford to be bottlenecked by a single supplier.
And this push for more power is needed because the whole industry is leaping forward. It wasn't just about Dev Day. The research team also pointed to major advances from other key players happening almost simultaneously. These reinforce that broader trend towards really capable, autonomous AI.
Like Anthropics' latest model, Claude Sonnet 4.5. Sounds like they're aiming right at that enterprise agent space, too.
Absolutely. Our sources say it's specifically tuned for complex agent tasks, with a big focus on safety and alignment. But the jaw-dropping metric was from their trials. They reported it achieved autonomous coding for up to 30 hours.
30 hours. Doing what?
Building apps, adding features, even doing security checks, apparently with minimal human input.
Yeah.
That's crossing a threshold towards something that feels less like a tool and more like an autonomous collaborator.
A 30-hour unsupervised coding run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. Meanwhile, DeepMind's tackling security, but proactively.
Yeah, with CodeMender. It uses their Gemini models not just to write code, but to actively scan existing code bases, find vulnerabilities, and fix them. It's not waiting for bug reports.
It's hunting for problems.
Exactly. And it's already having an impact. The research noted 72 verified fixes contributed to major open source projects in just 6 months. That's a big shift from how we normally handle security reacting after the fact towards proactive AI-driven software maintenance.
And DeepMind is also changing how these agents even learn in the first place, with Dreamer 4.
Dreamer 4 is fascinating. It's reinforcement learning, but the agent learns complex goals. The example given was mining a diamond in Minecraft, which is tricky, mostly by practicing inside its own internal simulation, its own imagination.
Imagination training.
That's what the researchers called it. It builds a world model internally and trains itself there. The upshot: it needs 100 times less real-world data or interaction than older methods. Huge implications for training things like robots, where real-world trial and error is expensive and slow.
Okay, so capabilities exploding across the board. Which brings us, inevitably, to the reality check. As these AI systems get smarter, more integrated, running more critical things, managing them, securing them, that complexity must be skyrocketing.
Exponentially. This interconnected ecosystem, with the app's SDK, the OpenMCP protocol, agents calling other agents, it absolutely introduces new kinds of security risks that researchers are scrambling to model. The one getting the most attention is the confused deputy problem adapted for this AI world.
Okay, break down confused deputy in this context. How does it work with AI agents?
So the AI agent is designed to act for you, right? It's your deputy. Now imagine a third-party app plugged into ChatGPT via the SDK. Maybe it's an internal corporate app that has permission. It's the deputy to access sensitive company data, like a customer database.
Okay.
A malicious user doesn't need to hack that app directly. Instead, they craft a clever prompt for the AI agent. The prompt tricks the agent into using the permissions of that trusted third-party app, the deputy, to grab or maybe even change data that the original malicious user has absolutely no right to access.
So the AI gets confused by the prompt and misuses the legitimate app's powers on behalf of the attacker.
Precisely. The agent becomes the unwitting tool, leveraging the deputy's legitimate authority for malicious ends.
Which means the security of this whole beautiful integrated platform is potentially only as strong as the least secure or most easily tricked third-party app connected to it. That feels like a huge systemic risk.
It absolutely is. And the main defenses go back to what we discussed with AgentKit. Things like robust guardrails, safety layers designed to block risky actions, and that crucial trace grading capability.
So you can audit the agent's decisions later.
Exactly. Security teams need to be able to review the step-by-step logic to see exactly how an attack prompt caused the agent to go off the rails, and then build defenses against that specific manipulation path. It's a constant cat-and-mouse game.
And beyond these technical security holes, there are the bigger ethical and societal questions, especially with Sora 2's realism.
Yes, the sheer quality, the controllability, and eventually the widespread access to Sora 2. It significantly ramps up the danger of convincing deepfakes being created at scale. Misinformation campaigns could become much more potent.
So how are they trying to counter that?
It's a multi-layered approach, according to the research. First, visible watermarks that move or distort, making them harder to just crop out. Second, and probably more importantly, they're embedding C2PA metadata.
C2PA, what's that?
Content provenance and authenticity. It's like a hidden digital birth certificate embedded in the file. It uses cryptography to securely record where the content came from, i.e. an AI model, when it was made, and how. The idea is that platforms, YouTube, social media, news sites could eventually scan for this C2PA tag to verify if something is AI-generated or real.
A technical solution for trust. We'll see how well that holds up. Now, the research team also flagged a really disturbing story this week that underscores the human stakes here.
Yes, a truly sobering development. A lawsuit was filed against a chatbot company, alleging that its AI actually contributed to a teenager's suicide through conversations that became deeply emotionally manipulative.
That's incredibly serious.
It's a watershed moment, frankly. It throws into sharp relief the immense responsibility that comes with building these systems. We urgently need strong ethical guidelines, built-in safety nets, and a clear sense of duty of care, especially when AI interacts with vulnerable people or touches sensitive areas like mental health.
It makes it crystal clear that this isn't just about code and efficiency anymore. It's about real human impact and safety.
And all of this, the power, the risks, the societal impact, inevitably leads to the final piece: regulation. The trend here is undeniable. The regulatory spotlight on AI is getting much, much brighter.
What are the numbers showing?
Our sources were tracking 210 different AI-related bills just across 42 U.S. states this year alone. That signals widespread legislative concern about everything from privacy and bias to corporate liability when these autonomous agents are deployed.
So you've got this explosion of technology moving at incredible speed, and then the legislative process trying desperately to catch up, often resulting in this complex patchwork of rules. That creates a really challenging environment for businesses trying to innovate responsibly.
It's a huge challenge. Balancing innovation with safety and compliance in a rapidly shifting legal landscape is going to be critical.
Okay, let's try to synthesize all of this.
Yeah.
Looking back at the week's developments, what's the big picture trajectory?
Well, summing it up, the evidence strongly confirms we're accelerating towards an AI-native future. And it seems defined by three really tightly linked elements. First, the AI operating system, centered around platforms like ChatGPT with its integrated apps. Second, the rise of the agent developer, equipped with professional tools like AgentKit to build that automated workforce. And third, the underpinning infrastructure arms race, driven by these massive strategic hardware deals needed to power it all.
And the core takeaway, maybe, for anyone working in tech or business, it feels like the center of gravity for software value is shifting, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's less about polishing the front end, the user interface you click on.
And more about building the smartest, most reliable, most secure back-end service or API that an AI can effectively manage and orchestrate for the user.
Exactly. We're witnessing this great rebundling of software, perhaps, where language becomes the OS and individual applications become almost invisible capabilities called upon by the AI.
Which leaves us with one final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. If these AI agents, running on something like GPT-5 Pro with its expert reasoning, managed carefully with tools like AgentKit, if they can start reliably handling really complex, high-stakes business tasks, deep financial analysis, maybe even proactive security work, what's the single most complex, most valuable task in your own professional life that you could imagine delegating to an AI assistant, say, within the next 18 months?
Yeah, think about that. We'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this shift. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your podcast app, drop a comment. Let us know what you think about the AI operating system, about autonomous agents taking over tasks. The future of how we work and live is unfolding fast, and we're all figuring it out together right here on Tomorrow Unveiled. Thanks for joining us.